1월에.
아, 그러셨구나.
아니 다 지금 켜져 있어요.
저도 1월에 승진해 갖고.
선수 부시장님이
예.
거기 계시고.
예. 슬라이드 안 넘겨. 저는 손 안 댈 건데. 그것만 하면 되는데 그거 한 장만 할 건데. 끊게요. 착각하지 마시고요.
이 마이크가요 계속 켜 있어서 스위치가 없어가지고요 계속 나갑니다. 그래서 혹시나 지금 이 마이크는 꺼지지가 않고요 계속 켜 있기 때문에 계속 이쪽으로 나가버립니다. 혹시 말
Ladies and gentlemen, the session will be starting soon, so please kindly take a seat as the opening ceremony will commence shortly. Please put your cell phone on silent during the session. During this session, we ask everyone inside venue to continue wearing masks, not only to follow all related regulations and guidelines to prevent the spread of COVID-19. This session will be started soon. Please stay wait a moment. Thank you. Now, let's get started. Hello, my name is Dongwoo Yang, a senior researcher of the International Climate Environment Center. I'll be a moderator of this session. And thank you for sharing your time with us here, either online or in person. In this session, entitled International Forum on Citywide Climate Crisis Responses and Technology Sharing, we invited mayors and officials from local governments. Under the title International Forum on Citywide Climate Crisis Response and Technology Sharing, this session will share cities' visions and plans for net zero, as well as their best practice to contribute to the global net zero. Let me introduce the speakers and presenters of this session. Now we will meet some of our presenters online. First of all, in the Korean pavilion, we have Jung-woo Kim, the Environment Collaboration Ambassador of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. And he will deliver his welcome remarks. And next, we have presenters from several countries. First, Dr. Yoon Won-tae, President of the International Climate and Environment Center, Korea. Fujito Junichi, Senior Researcher of the Institution for Global Environmental Strategy, Japan. Kwang-sun Jung, Manager of Climate and Ecology Division of Jeollanam-do Provincial Government, Korea. Jung Shin-seo, Director General of Environment Ecology Bureau of Yeosu City, Korea. And Dongwoo Yang, myself, Senior Researcher of International Climate and Environment Center, Republic of Korea. And here are the presenters participating online. First, Phonggu Cletus Tamway, Mayor of Bamenda 3 Council, Cameroon. Hello. Suman Adhikari, Chief of Legal and Human Rights Division in Kathmandu Metropolitan City Office, Nepal. Welcome. Vimala Dasa, Consultant of Matalay Municipal Council, Sri Lanka. Now, before the presentation session starts, we have a warm welcoming message from this session. Let's meet Jung-Woo Kim, the Environment Collaboration Ambassador of the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs. Please give us a speech.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Good afternoon, all. I welcome you to this forum. And you know that this forum is organized by the International Climate Center, which is located in Guangzhou City, organized by the Guangzhou City government. And for the foreign participants, I'd like to introduce Guangzhou City. Guangzhou City has a very significant meaning in Korea in 2 points. The first one is that in 1980 we had a bloody military coup, and the Guangzhou citizens, just stood up very bravely to achieve the democracy at that time. So it costed a lot of the innocent citizens' lives, and now we are enjoying the democracy in Korea. And our thanks are due to the Guangzhou citizens. That's the first one. And second, Guangzhou City is leading the climate policy in Korea. And the city declared carbon neutrality the first time in Korea, and also declared RE100. They could achieve the energy self-sufficiency by 2045, and the carbon neutrality also. And all the energy that was produced within the city, and also all the energy should be renewable energy. And inspired by the Guangzhou City, just all the local provinces and the local governments in Korea declared carbon neutrality by 2050. That's the Guangzhou City's just contribution to our policy. And now almost half of the world population, and about 90% of the population in advanced countries, they live in cities. And so if we want to solve the climate pollution problem, we have to solve the problem in cities first. So that's very significant. And so from now on, cities must know how to produce energy within the city boundary, and they have a lot of work to do. For example, in saving energies and constructing the sustainable system in the city. And you all know that this coronavirus thing is very terrible. You all have experienced very difficulty attending this meeting this year. And even this COP26 was delayed 1 year because of this coronavirus. And this coronavirus is the result of climate change, actually. During the last half century, a lot of the zoonosis, that's 인수공통감염병. We had about 80 of them, such as AIDS, SARS, MERS, and bird flu, foot and mouth disease, and mad cow disease like that. But this coronavirus is not the final one. We have about 8 million viruses in this world, and about 6 million fungi. So there will be endless series of the zoonosis unless we solve this climate issue. So charting a path toward the green economy requires a joint effort of policymakers, urban planners, as well as the private sector and civil society organizations. So together, let's work to make our planet greener and safe for the generation to come. Thank you very much. You enjoy this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the warm speech. In this session, various experiences in your cities for realizing net zero will be shared to global society. I'm very much excited to hear these stories. Next, to start with Dr. Won-tae Yoon, President of the International Climate and Environment Center, will make a thematic presentation on the transition to a climate neutral city. Thank you.
그 나가서 하네, 그 사람은. 이렇게 나가,
예?
이렇게 사무장 나가서 하나요?
앉아서. 서서 하고 싶으면 나가세요. 근데 통역해 줘야 되잖아.
제가 통역.
그러니까 갑자기 못 나가지.
Okay. Let me start now. Thank you, Chairman. My name is Won-tae Yoon, and my talk today is the transition to a climate neutral city. As we all know, climate change is affecting every corner of our society and our city. So cities are at high risk from the devastating adverse impact of climate change. With this presentation, I will introduce the transition of cities and the early warning system, which is part of the disaster risk reduction and management system. So, we have to ask now, why do worry about the climate change? This is a really good question, simple and good question. Why do we worry about that? Because, as you can see here, also because of global warming, the temperature is increasing. After that, the climate is changing. As a result of that, the extreme weather events such as storms, typhoon, hurricanes, flooding, heat waves, such extreme weather events is becoming more frequent and intense. And this is disrupting national infrastructures and economies, also national economies. So we need new coping mechanisms. And the cities are vulnerable to climate change. And Professor Kim, also Ambassador Kim, told about already that more than half of the world population resides in cities. It means that cities are consuming lots of energy and producing significant amount of greenhouse gases. So cities are hotspots of vulnerability and exposure. And so now we can say that cities are both causes and effects in the climate crisis. And this climate crisis calls for new approaches to sustainable development. So we have to redesign cities and smart cities can optimize the city functions and provide the safeguard from the intensified natural disasters. And moreover, the cities can ensure sustainable development of cities. And now, every cities are looking to improve. Also, every cities really are looking to improve everything from infrastructure to connectivity. So cities are undergoing digital transformation, turning into smart cities. which is consists of which is also the smart cities combination of energy independence and smart mobility solutions, including post-industrial revolution techniques and as a disaster risk reduction and management system. It's difficult to handle it. Sorry about it. 뒤쪽으로 안 된다네? 아니, 뒤로 이쪽으로 해야 되니까. Sorry, we have a technical problem here. And the most important role or most important goal of city is to protect lives and properties of people in the city. And this system exactly anticipates, prevents, and absorbs and recovers from the shocks and stresses of natural disasters. And this climate disaster risk reduction and management system is a combination of risk assessment, early warning system, and emergency response and relief commodity, also recovery systems. Also, what I want to introduce today, this time, is the early warning system, because this system can project future state of crime risk and helps people and communities prepare the climate disasters. And this slide is the concept of our early warning system, multimodal ensemble early warning system. This system is constructed with outputs, different model data, so different models. And so this system is kind of post-processing empirical models. As you can see here, the time length of data set is divided into 2 pages. Also the training phase and the forecasting phase. During this training phase, the optimal weights of individual models are computed, and the obtained optimal weights of individual models are used for reconstructing the forecasts. And this is the verification of our early warning systems. What you're seeing is the RMS error of multimodal ensemble early warning systems. The black and the blue line indicates the RMS error of our early warning systems. You can see that also if we compare the RMS error of our system and the individual models, the RMS error of our system is much lower than that of individual models. That means the skill of our system is much better than that of individual models. And we have constructed our early warning system with also using 14 global producing center models. These models are designated by WMO. And this is the configuration of participating models. I'm going to skip it. So this is the forecast provided, also produced by participating individual models. You can see now the forecast. Also, if we compare the forecast provided by individual models, the result, the forecast is different from model to model. So that means at this stage, we cannot say which model is better or bad. As at least we don't know which model is best model. So we can now apply the multimodal ensemble techniques to for extracting predictable signals from the models. And this is the result of our early warning system for October, November 2021. Also, this is a kind of projections. And most part of us is also warmer than the normals. And this slide is the same, but for global precipitation for October, November, December 2021. And this is the result. As you can see here, our whole African region and the Pacific, Equator Pacific regions are the drier than normal, also dry conditions. Such information produced by early warning system is really valuable and helps assist the decision makers to understand the future patterns of climate risks and gives guidelines on disaster prevention. So, for sustainable development for establishing smart cities, I do believe that science and technology should play a central role. And moreover, the knowledge sharing program, the knowledge sharing among cities are most important part of strategies for promoting sustainable development. So we have, in dealing with climate change and environmental issues in the city, we have developed also such of programs or tools to assist our member cities. For example, the early warning system is combined. This early warning system, how do we develop, is coupled with urban assessment model systems to identify the climate risk in the city. And urban carbon management system is developed as it is an integrated system to combine climate change, mitigation, and adaptation techniques. So, etc., we have developed all these systems. So all these systems are designed to be transferable to other cities, also to assist our member cities. So this is my presentation. Many thanks for attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yoon. It was a great start of the presentation. Before the next presentation, all presenters know that each presenter has only 12 minutes of presentation. And then I will warning you when you are past 10 minutes, like 2 minutes left. Okay? So if the presentation is prepared, I will introduce the next presenter.
I'm asked to make presentation here. So.
Small technical problem.
It's sometimes difficult to control all the things, but a very good presentation. Quite the comprehensive, also the showing quite the detailed result by the your atmospheric modeling. So quite interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are ready to hear next presenter's speech. So next presenter is Dr. Fujino Junichi from IGES Japan to present localizing climate actions and sustainable development goals. Dr. Junichi, please come to give us your speech.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Wu Yang. Also, His Excellency Joe Kim, Ambassador for the Environment, Minister of Environment Korea. Also, my good friend, Dr. Won Tae-yu, and very good presentation. Thank you so much. And then, very much appreciate for your kind invitation to this Korean pavilion side event. Why I am here because we conduct the China-Japan-Korea joint research project on decarbonization cities for last 3 years, and then still we somehow continue this collaboration. And then I was in Guangzhou 2 years ago, before this COVID-19 era. It was quite nice hospitality and also good discussion and then good food, Korean food in Guangzhou. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we are here COP26 and then now UNFCCC promote kind of
That's okay.
Now it works? Okay. So UNFCCC and the promote kind of the zero carbon race to zero campaign, and then many cities now declare the zero carbon. Also there is the SDGs. Now UN DESA organize SDGs pavilion. DESA is the UN organization who is in charge of the SDGs. And so then how to combine like this climate war or also SDGs. This is quite interesting topic. Next slide, please. So this is the overview of the Race to Zero campaign. And so then already the more than 700 cities declared this race, and then from Japan at this moment 91 cities are registered, but in reality more than 400 cities declared zero carbon by 2050 in Japan. So more than 90% population now somehow they declare zero carbon. We also support not only Japan but also the Southeast Asia, Kuala Lumpur city. I will share our challenge shortly. So next slide, please. This is the kind of our support to the Kuala Lumpur city to develop kind of zero carbon city scenario by 2050. This is quite important, especially for a mayor or for the ministry to understand how KL city can achieve to the zero carbon. Next slide, please. Why we have such the activity? Because we KL City Hall herself developed kind of these low carbon blueprint in 2017, and then they found that around 50% emission coming from the building sector. Next slide, please. And then KL City side asked the IGES whether any good city in Japan to support the KL activities. Then we bridge between KL City and the Tokyo Metropolitan government, because Tokyo Metropolitan government is the first city to conduct cap and trade scheme in 2008. Next slide, please. And then when we had a survey, we collect around 4,000 electricity bills in around 2,000 public buildings owned by the KL City Hall. And then we identified that the 80% emission energy use was happening in only 20 buildings. Next slide, please. Then we identified that which building should be do the retrofit, the energy consumed appliance. Then we identify 4 appliances, and then KL City herself secures the budget to retrofit these facilities for this year and then for next year. Next slide, please. And then this year March, Ministry of Environment Japan organized Zero Carbon City International Forum, and then Dr. Sain Khan kindly joined this forum too. And then there is a session by participated by Governor Koike, Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and Mayor Kuala Lumpur City, Dato Seri Mahadi. He is already in Edinburgh, and then next week he will make several presentations. And then like Minister Koizumi, I very much appreciate this collaboration. Next slide, please. And then now this year, even we are in the COVID-19 era, we have many online meetings. And then we try to complete the first ASEAN comprehensive public building energy efficiency system. Because building, we know that when this building was founded, and then what kind of the energy appliances each building use. And then if you know they'd like to use the building for 30, 40, 50 years, then we can develop kind of the low carbon public building procurement plan toward 2030 and beyond. So now we try to develop such a methodology by the experience of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Also, Keio City set to the kind of model district. It's called the Wansa-Maju area. So how to make these area as the zero carbon area. Next slide, please. Yeah, now we are in COP26, and then this week, 2nd November, thank you very much kindly joining our event. We already have a city event, and then next week we have a 3 event. One is on 10, 2 is on 10th, and then last one is on 11th. So if you have time, please join us. Next slide, please. And then SDGs part. Now we support to develop kind of voluntary local review framework. Next slide, please. So yeah, I think everybody knows, but the 2030 agenda is a key agenda for the pushing the sustainable development goals, which was developed on September 2015, just 3 months before Paris Agreement. Next slide, please. And then this year there is a high-level political forum. It is like a COP for the SDGs last September, and then there is a scheme, voluntary national review. This is something similar to the NDC, nationally determined contributions. And then 41 countries submitted her voluntary national review, and 13 from the Asia Pacific. Next slide, please. This time Japan submitted the second VNR, and then the Japanese government kindly includes the 4 voluntary local review reporting in Japan from Toyama, Shimokawa, Kitakyushu, and Hamamatsu City. Next slide, please. Yeah, we developed kind of these voluntary local review scheme in 2018, and together with like New York City, and now it becomes a kind of the like a society. Next slide, please. This year, high-level political forum, there was a session by the UN Habitat. This is an organization who is in charge of kind of local government or city-related issues. Also, the UCLG. UCLG is a kind of NGO type organization. This is the largest city group in the world. And then they launched the second volume of the guideline for the VLRs. Next slide, please. Now there are more than 60 regions or cities submit kind of voluntary local reviews to show how each city conduct the sustainable development goals. And so I think that how we can collaborate these local climate action, Race to Zero campaign, are also the VLR. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the Asia. Okay, and then next slide, please. Yeah, and so I also joined the session, and then I just submit kind of the state of the voluntary local review report. Next slide, please. And also we submit kind of a guest article for the IISD. So if you have interest, please take a look how can voluntary local review amplify local sustainability. Okay, and then next, maybe the last, yeah, so how to combine, and then maybe next one is the last slide. Yeah, so in 2015, there are two, not giant, but it's two symbolic memorial agreement was happened, Paris Agreement and then 2030 Agenda. Yeah, and then it's something similar scheme. It's quite interesting. And for the Paris Agreement, there is NDCs, and then SDGs 2030 Agenda, VNRs, and then both the scheme has a follow-up and review scheme. It is not the Kyoto Protocol type, the kind of the cap and trade scheme, but also this is a follow-up and review scheme. So how we will have good collaboration for the LD locally determined contribution and the voluntary local review. I think it's quite interesting, and also I believe that is ICE.
2 minutes.
Dr. Wonte research laboratory. It's quite important to have such a detailed analysis, and also how we have a good policy, local climate action policy, and then sustainability policy from these kind of research and collaboration. So yeah, this is the end. So thank you very much. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Dr. Junichi, for your presentation and your timekeeping strategy. Yeah, it was great presentation, and I'm impressed by Japanese cities' contribution to global society, and it was very interesting to hear their efforts in two sections, like building carbon saving, and in urban planning part, and SDG actions. So more importantly, their actions more like giving governance, not the international state, but the municipality level. So yeah, thank you. Okay, next presenter is Suman Adhikari of Kathmandu Metropolitan City, presenting carbon neutrality best practice of Nepal. He's waiting online.
Yes.
Please start if you're ready.
Yes, I am ready. Greetings from Nepal, Kathmandu, Nepal. This is me, Suman Adhikari.
So if you're ready, you can share your slide. Okay.
Yes, I'll share my paper.
Okay, I can see your screen, and you're opening a PowerPoint slide. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. National net carbon neutrality. Yeah, see? Okay. This is me, Suman Adhikari, from Kathmandu, Nepal. This is my paper, National Net Zero Carbon Neutrality, Best Practice of Nepal. The Republic of Nepal. This is our country description. Nepal's map. A brief introduction of Nepal. Nepal is a landlocked country in South Asia and is bordered by China and India. The government system is a federal parliamentary republic. The chief of state is the president and the head of government is the prime minister.
Mr. Adhikari, would you mind show the sliders like a slideshow? If you go down to
Sorry,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's good.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The country on the southern slopes of the Himalayas is home to 8 of the world's 10 highest peaks, including Mount Everest, 8,846.86 meter of the border between Nepal and Tibet, China. Lhotse is 8,516 meter on the border between China, Tibet, China and Nepal. Makalu is 8,463 meter on the border between Nepal and Tibet, China. And Kanchenjunga is 8,586 meter on the border with Sikkim, India. Dhaulagiri is 8,167 meters, is the highest mountain located within the borders of own country. Nepal is known as the source of a famous river, the Gangas, India. Many of the main tributaries of the Gangas originate in Nepal. Bankai, Kosi, Bagmati and Gandaki are feeder rivers of the Gangas. Kathmandu, the city of temples and capital city of the Nepal. Pokhara, the city is the gateway to the Annapurna circuit, a 160 to 230 kilometer long trek that encircles the Annapurna massif. Buddha stupa in the outskirts of Kathmandu is one of the largest sepulchral stupas in Nepal. The Mayadevi temple in Lumbini, the place where Lord Buddha was born. Swambhunath, the ancient religious complex atop a hill in the Kathmandu valley west of Kathmandu. The Pashupatinath temple, the sacred Hindu temple complex, is located on the banks of the Bagmati river in Kathmandu valley. Best practice carbon neutrality of Nepal. Nepal will receive $5 for every ton of carbon dioxide emissions reduced. A country embarks on the earning up to $42 million by selling 9 million tons of carbon dioxide by 2025. Nepal's greenhouse gases contribution to the global emissions is only 0.06% based on greenhouse gases inventory 2017 for third national communication, but people and resources of Nepal are vulnerable to the adverse effects of climate change. In Nepal, it is likely to continue carbon-intensive energy used to achieve economic and infrastructure development objectives, policy measures on carbon tax, fossil fuel use reduction, clean energy use, or conversion of a carbon-intensive fuel to clean energy-based vehicles or appliances may not be adopted and implemented in the near future. The Nepal government signed a multi-million-dollar agreement with the World Bank's Forest Carbon Partnership Facility, FCPF, a global partnership of governments, business organizations, civil society, and indigenous groups, organizations for reducing emissions by protecting forests. As a least developed country, Nepal is eligible to sell carbon to developed countries that want to offset their emissions under the Reducing Emissions through Deforestation and Degradation READ program. Nepal is the 5th country in the Asia Pacific and 12th in the world to sign such a milestone agreement with the Forest Carbon Partnership Faculty. The agreement has been touted as a landmark achievement for the country, as this would be the first financial support for Nepal for keeping its emissions low. Nepal, home is to 6.61 million hectares of forest and other widowed lands, 44.74% of the total area, has the potential to generate revenue from the carbon financing. By participating in the READ Plus program, Nepal has been working for several years to become eligible for carbon trading or generate revenue by selling carbon stored in its forests. Nepal is expected to reduce 9 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions in the Tarai Arc landscape. For each ton of carbon dioxide emissions reduced, Nepal will receive $5 in return. According to estimates, forest cover in 13 districts can be reduced 34 million tons of carbon dioxide between 2018 to 2028, out of which 23%, 7.9 million tons, cannot be sold as they are kept as a buffer. Nepal will work towards improving management practice in existing community-based forest management. Likewise, officials plan to transfer national forests to communities that can work on restoring them. It shall also support and promote private sector forests. Nearly 30,000 hectares of private forests exist in 13 districts. The government also aims to encourage the use of alternative energy resources as well as work on leasehold forest. Likewise, it plans to improve integrated land use planning to reduce forest conversion for infrastructure development and promote better management of existing protected areas in the country. This is our Shafa tempo, the past, the present, and the future picture. Conservation of trees, picture Himalayas, our great Himalayas. The Nepal government and the World Bank have signed the agreement unlocking the potential to get $45 million in revenue from carbon trade. The country may not get the whole amount. The amount quoted is maximum Nepal can receive under the program. Tiger, state of Nepal's forest, our alternative energy, our temple. Thanks for kind attention. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adhikari. Yeah, thank you for saving the time and a very interesting presentation about the carbon trading and their Nepal City's contribution to the global society. Okay, so back to the stage. Next presenter, we will have Mr. Gwangsun Jung from Jeollanam-do Provincial Government of Korea. He will present 2050 Net Zero in the province and citizen movement. Please come to share your presentation. If you're ready.
안녕하십니까. 만나뵙게 돼서 반갑습니다. 전라남도 기후생태과장 정광선입니다. 전라남도 2050 탄소중립 정책을 소개하게 돼서 기쁘게 생각합니다.
Hello, this is Gwangsun Jung from the Jeonnam Jeonnam Provincial Office of the Republic of Korea. It's my honor to meet you also.
두 파트로 나눠서 말씀드리고자 합니다. 첫째는 2050 전라남도 탄소중립 비전을 소개하고요. 두 번째는 탄소중립 실현을 위한 의견을 제시해 보도록 하겠습니다.
I will present in the presentation. I will present suggest two parts. The first one is the net zero of the Jeollanam-do province in 2050. The second part is the suggestion for Jeonnam suggestion for the net zero.
지난 1년은 기후변화 대응 탄소 중립이 이슈인 한 해였습니다. 정부에서 탄소 중립 기본법을 제정했고요. NDC를 상향 확정했고요. 탄소 중립 시나리오를 제시한 바 있습니다.
Last year, the keywords of the whole world was the net zero and the climate response, such as the Korean government set law on the net zero, and we have confirmed the higher portion of the nationally determined contribution. That we also in the government also suggested the net zero scenario.
탄소 중립은 미래의 과제가 아닙니다. 지금의 현실입니다. 기후 이상 현상이 전 지구촌에서 발생하고 있습니다.
Net zero carbon neutrality is not the matter of the future. This is the matter of the very present. We are around the whole world. We are facing the abnormal climate anomaly and the related abnormal the phenomena all around the world.
우리 전라남도는 금년 3월에 탄소중립 비전을 선언했습니다. 비전 내용은 화면을 설명해 드리도록 하겠습니다.
In the March this year, the Jeonnam Provincial Government declared the net zero, and the details of the announced net zero is presented on this slide.
또한 세계 환경 기구 등과 연대 협력 체계를 구축했습니다. 탈석탄 동맹, 지콤 가입, UN Race to Zero 캠페인 참여, UA 가입 등입니다.
And we also had we also have many different various activities in the international matters, such as the joining the Powering Past Coal Alliance (PPCA) and the Global Covenant of Mayors, and we also joined the UN Race to Zero, and we also joined the Urban Environment Accord, called the UEA.
두 번째로는 탄소 중립 실현을 위한 의견을 제시해 보도록 하겠습니다.
Here, that was the first part, and the second part is coming. The suggestion, the idea for the realization of the net zero.
넘버원 기술 개발입니다. 산업화 과정에서 발생하는 탄소 포집 기술이 있어야 되겠고요. 저희 광양만권엔 철강에서 수소환원 제철이 있습니다. 이러한 R&D 지원 사업이 촉진돼야 될 것 같습니다.
The first one I would like to suggest is the development of the technologies, such as the CCUS, which is the carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration. And as our Jeonnam provincial government has one of the key of the Jeonnam province is the steel industry. So in this regard, we are going to develop the hydrogen iron and steel using the hydrogen reduction iron manufacturing method, and we are also we are also going to provide the support for the R&D in these related fields.
다음은 중앙 정부의 강력한 의지 반영이 필요하고요. 재정 지원이 필요할 것 같습니다. 정부가 기본법에 담았던 게 12조 기금 목표도 있습니다. 우리 전라남도 기후 대응 기금을 마련해 나갈 계획입니다.
And the next part is where the national government, where the strong willingness and support from the national government is required, is the support in the financial matters. So it's our knowledge that the government is organizing $10 billion of the financial the fund for the climate change response. So, and we in this regard we are trying to do our best to change the Jeonnam province's climate protection fund into the fund for the climate change response.
다음은 사회적 안전망 구축이 필요할 것 같습니다. 물론 탄소 중립법에 명시되어 있습니다. 산업 구조 변화에 대응 정책이 필요하고요. 그에 따른 정의로운 전환 지원 센터 같은 구축도 필요하고요. 그다음에 취약 계층에 대한 배려 정책도 있어야 되겠습니다.
And the next part that I would like to mention is the social safety net, so-called, which is actually already mentioned in the the carbon neutrality, the net zero law of the nation, which is which can lead to the response in the change of the industrial structure, and including the building of the center for the just transition. And we also need to take consideration in the vulnerability of the social the status.
그리고 지속적인 감축 관리 시스템 구축을 강화할 계획입니다. 국제사회와 시민단체와 기관, 기업 모든 부분이 참여해서 모니터링을 강화해 나가서 탄소 중립을 실현해 나갈 계획입니다. 이상입니다.
And we are also going to have some build up for the continued the reduction monitoring and management system, so that which various stakeholders such as the international society, civil society, and the institution and companies and all other various stakeholders can join for the general monitoring of this system. That is it for my presentation. Thank you.
감사합니다.
Thank you, Mr. Jung, for your presentation and for sharing the time. Interesting presentation. And Jeollanam-do province is known for heavy industrial factories and chemical factories. And I'm impressed by the province plan, very ambitious plan. And they also try to keep the balance after industrial change to keeping a balance between industrial change and social vulnerability. So hopefully implementation of a plan for net zero will be successful. Thank you. Next presenter is let me see. We will have a next presenter, Phong Cletus Tanwe, Mayor of Bamenda, Cameroon. So, Mayor Tanwe, if you are ready to present, please share your slide and go ahead. Hello, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, we don't hear you. We cannot hear you yet. So would you turn on your mic? Unmute it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to thank the UEA family and all my friends of the UEA for the continuous commitment to the United Nations, the Urban Environmental Accords. I think Bamenda 3 presentation today, we are centered on how Bamenda 3, Bamenda look at the situation of youth and IDPs and as the environmental problems are concerned. Thus, the city of Bamenda supports inclusion and equity. Our youth are our future. All must be given safety, food, water, and healthcare. So, in Bamenda, we see the challenges of climate migration as an opportunity of talent. Here are some examples of what we are doing to address these challenges and realize these opportunities. Working with local partners is our objective. We reach out to internally displaced children with food, healthcare, water, and learning materials. As mayor, I lead an initiative on the re-application of water to ensure equity. The second point that I want to talk about is our teachers actively go to the IDPs. The internally displaced person comes to support ongoing learning. As mayor, I work to ensure that we provide school fees, scholarships, and incentives to our young people. You know, when we are talking about climate change, we are working towards empowering the young people to make sure they have a better future and a better environment to live in. Bamenda is a hub of higher education and teachers training. So our teachers want more training and resources to help the most vulnerable. We actively encourage talent to stay in and return to Bamenda. Our 15,000 of our migrants, primary women and youths, have gone to Calabar, that's neighboring Nigeria, for basic services from the United Nations Humanitarian Service because of the crisis that affects our region. Now we are actively welcoming them back to be part of the future of our talent trajectory in Bamenda. As mayor, I lead the development of a new innovation incubator in Bamenda, economic free zone. We need skills, entrepreneurs, talents for this incubator and future jobs. We foster discussion and action among educators, employers, and entrepreneurs. And these discussions include actions on behalf of displaced youths to ensure that they are on lean to earn the pathway. We actively promote digital skills, connectivity, and more IT labs in our schools across the municipality of Bamenda. Bamenda can be seen as an African and perhaps global example of the challenges facing our cities. Our progress is impeded by the challenges of migration, both conflicts and climate, because we have both conflict and climate challenges that have caused people to migrate from other areas into Bamenda. And so, on the basis of that, so far, resulting in over 50,000 internally displaced people, primarily women and youth, who have left the rural areas into our city. We see the multiple threats of climate change, migration of youths, already absent of services, disrupted families' life, and broken education. And these threats are rising. While conflicts, migration have moved outside of the main city, climate migration is becoming a big threat, particularly the heat that is currently affecting our city. To address this need of the most vulnerable, we need city leadership and local employers that understand the importance of these marginalized groups as part of our future. We need to see them as positive assets to the city. We need public partners and local agencies that have the trust of displaced people. They must find them, build relationship with them, understand their needs, and then communicate back to the city's leaders. We need a network of cities leaders that work together in support of rooted children. We know migration is happening, and we know we must manage this together so children don't get lost as they migrate. Being proactive, having advance notice, having detailed data help us cities to that these children feel wanted. They are on a lean to earn pathway, and the future should be bright for them. We must be innovative. Uh, we partnered with the Talent Cities Initiative. We conduct the first ever citywide skills and talented access mapping of urban and displaced youth in an African city. This data collection actively included all youth in the city, migrant youth in schools and migration youth in IDP camps, leaving no one behind. Data collection also included teachers, schools, leaders, and families. This gave us a detailed understanding of talent in our city and a roadmap that can be shared with other cities. COP26 is an opportunity for the world to place a spotlight on uprooted children and their needs. They deserve our attention. Climate migration is growing. It has come to stay. In Bamenda, we are seeing its impact through increasing heat. At the same time, our needs for the skilled talent is growing. COP26 is an opportunity to make the world see that we need to invest in uprooted children. We need to ensure that their basic needs are met and that their education continues. They need the skills to be part of the future. To conclude, at COP 2026, we can look at the uprooted children from a global perspective and provide continuous continuity as they migrate. Cities can act on behalf of the uprooted children as far as climate and the future is concerned. You know, we preserve the climate because of the children, because of the future generation. Cities need real solutions, and we need funding. Migration is not going away. Migration has come to stay. It will always increase. We need to normalize migration and use it as a positive approach to filling our talents needs. COP26 can make these changes to normalize and happen. As I said before, COP26 should check this migration, and I know migration is commonly affected women and children, and we know the factors that mostly cause migration are conflicts and climate condition. So we are praying that COP26 should be one of the pillars to check this. So thank you so much. I want to thank the UAA family for this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Taiwan. Yeah, interesting presentation, and interesting because I'm glad to hear the effort City of Bamenda's to enhance the sustainability by enhancing the use of skill sets in the change of industries, and change of technologies. And the city and the mayor pointed out it is important to have city leadership and a public partnership and improving networks of city leaders to be a innovative society. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Next presenter is Mr. Jung Shin-sun. Before doing the presentation, I would like to stop the pause the presentation shortly and introduce the important figure who came to here. So, Mr. Ibramov, we have Bek Sultan Ibramov, Deputy Minister of Natural Resources, Ecology and Technical Supervision from Kyrgyzstan. So give him a applaud to welcome. Yes. Okay. So, Mr. Seo, are you ready?
네. Yes.
Yes. Okay, let me introduce the presenter. So now we have Mr. Jung Shin-sun, Director General of the Environmental Welfare Bureau, Yeosu City, Republic of Korea. He will present Yeosu's policy on Net Zero 2050. So, Mr. Son, just say okay if you are ready.
네.
네.
여러분 반갑습니다. 대한민국 여수시 환경복지국장 서정신입니다. 제26차 UN 기후변화 협약 당사국 총회에서 탄소 제로 친환경 도시 여수에 대해 소개할 수 있게 된 것을 매우 뜻깊게 생각합니다.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jung Shin, and I'm a Director General of Environmental and Welfare Bureau in Yeosu Municipality. I'm very grateful to have a chance to introduce our city strategy, Carbon Zero and Eco-Friendly City Yeosu in COP26.
네, 먼저 여수시 일반 현황과 도시 특성, 핵심 정책 순으로 발표를 하겠습니다.
My presentation will show the general information about our city first. Then I will introduce the features of Yeosu City and will demonstrate our core strategy at the end.
일반 현황입니다.
First, I'll talk about the general information about Yeosu City. This will help you to know our city more.
여수는 대한민국 남해안의 중간 지점에 위치한 인구 28만 명의 중소도시입니다. 삼면이 바다인 여수 반도는 420여 킬로미터에 달하는 수려한 해안선과 청정해역 365개의 섬을 보유하고 있는 대표적인 리아스식 해안입니다.
With a population of 280,000, Yeosu is a small city located in the center of the southern coast in Korea. Encircled by the sea as a peninsula, Yeosu is the widest coast, with a total of 420 kilometers of graceful coastline, clean and fresh air, weather, and 365 islands.
도시 특성입니다.
The features of Yeosu are as follows.
여수는 해양국립공원으로 지정된 천혜의 관광자원을 보유하고 있으며 연중 온화한 기후와 다양한 즐길거리로 연간 1,300만 명의 국내외 관광객이 방문하고 있는 대한민국의 대표적인 해양관광 휴양도시입니다.
Yeosu is the best city of marine tourism and resort in Korea. It has plenty of natural beauties, and two of them are designated as national marine parks. With its mild climate and various excitements, more than 1.3 million tourists visit every year.
또한 국내 최대 석유화학 단지인 여수국가산업단지가 입지해 있고 남해안의 중심 관문이자 동북아 국제 무료 기지로서의 위상을 갖춘 국제 해운 도시입니다. 이러한 자연, 인문 환경과 풍부한 산업 인프라를 바탕으로 지난 2012년 살아있는 바다 숨쉬는 연안을 주제로 여수 세계 박람회를 성공적으로 개최하였고, 여수 선언을 통해 기후변화, 자원 부족, 식량난 등 지구 공동의 문제 해결과 해양 환경 보호를 위해 국제사회의 노력을 표명하였습니다.
It has Yeosu National Industrial Complex, which is Korea's largest petrochemical industrial complex, and is an international maritime logistics as the gate of the South Sea and the base of the Northeast Asia's logistics. Based on these natural resources, social environment, and rich industry infrastructure, Yeosu successfully held the international exposition under the theme A Living Ocean and Coast. And through the announcement of Yeosu Declaration in the Expo, Yeosu urged the world society to effort to protect the ocean environment and to resolve common global issues such as climate change, resource deficit, and food shortages.
핵심 정책입니다.
Now I'll introduce our city's core strategy for carbon zero.
여수시는 무엇보다 기후변화 대응과 관련한 탄소 중립 정책을 중심적으로 추진하고 있습니다. 해양 환경 보호와 기후변화 대응에 대한 우리 시의 노력은 지난 4월 2050 여수시 탄소 중립 선언을 통해 보다 구체화되었습니다. 에너지 산업 전환, 일상생활 속 탄소 배출 감축 노력을 통해 2030년까지 40% 감축을, 2050년에는 탄소 제로를 달성토록 하겠습니다.
Above all, our city Yeosu mainly pushes forward to practice carbon neutral policies that respond to climate change. Our efforts to protect the marine environment and to respond to climate change has been more concrete through Yeosu Carbon Neutral Strategy 2050 that was announced in April this year. By converting energy industry and struggling to reduce carbon emission from daily life, we will achieve a 40% reduction of emission, then realize net zero until 2050.
여수에는 석유화학 등 온실가스를 많이 배출하는 산업단지가 다수 입지해 있습니다. 실제 우리나라 온실가스 배출량의 5.36%인 3,800만 톤을 배출하고 있어 탄소 중립의 중요성이 더욱 강조되었습니다. 여수가 보유한 천혜의 자연환경을 보호하고 2012 여수 세계 박람회를 통해 해양 환경 보호를 위한 국제사회의 약속을 지키기 위해서라도 여수는 탄소 중립을 반드시 실현해낼 것입니다.
There are many companies in Yeosu industrial complexes where many petrochemical companies emit huge gases. As they produce 38 million tons of greenhouse gas, which is 5.36% of national total emission. The importance of carbon neutral in this area should be concerned more than ever before. To preserve our city's nature and to give our promise to the world that was announced through the International Exposition in 2012, Yeosu must realize carbon neutrality.
우리 시는 2050 탄소 제로 도시 여수를 만들기 위해 도시 구조 저탄소화, 친환경 에너지 산업 전환, 탄소 중립 사회로의 전환이라는 3대 정책 방향을 설정했습니다. 지금부터 각각의 정책에 대해 간략히 설명하겠습니다.
To realize 2050 carbon zero city Yeosu, we set up three directions of our policies. First, we will achieve low carbon emission of the city structure. We will convert our energy and industry to be eco-friendly, and we will transform our society to be carbon neutral society. Now I'll introduce each of them in detail.
먼저 도시구조의 저탄소화입니다. 2050 탄소 중립 달성을 위해서는 건물의 에너지 소비를 줄이는 것이 필수적입니다. 신축 건물을 제로 에너지 건축물로 건설하는 것을 의무화하고, 기존에 지어진 건물들은 그린 리모델링을 할 계획입니다. 그리고 지속 가능한 친환경 교통 체계를 구축을 위해 전기, 수소 자동차 충전소 설치 등 인프라를 확충하겠습니다.
I'll talk about low carbon emission of city structure first.
To achieve carbon neutral by 2050, it's essential to reduce the energy consumption of buildings. We'll make a policy of mandatory for new buildings as zero energy consumption, and we will make a plan for green remodeling of existing buildings. Also, to establish sustainable eco-friendly transportation system that is free of greenhouse gas and fine dust. We will expand the distribution of green mobility by building more infrastructure, including charging stations for EV and FCV, and riding subsidy for eco-friendly vehicles.
농축산 부분에도 다량의 온실가스가 배출됩니다. 농업 분야는 영농법을 개선하여 화학 비료를 적게 쓰고 친환경 농법 시행을 확대하겠습니다. 또한 정보통신 기반 농업 스마트 생산 시설을 구축하겠습니다. 그리고 자원순환을 위해 재생원료 사용과 폐자원을 해소한 재활용을 확대하겠습니다.
Agriculture, livestock, and fisheries industry also are the main causes of greenhouse gas emission. Our strategy on agriculture will be to expand practicing eco-friendly farming and to reduce the consumption of chemical fertilizers. Also, we will change the energy source of farming machines from kerosene or diesel to electricity and hydrogen, and we will build ICT-based smart agriculture production system. Talking about recycling, we'll scale up the usage of recycled materials and the recyclable waste resources.
앞에서 말씀드렸지만 우리 시에는 국가산업단지가 있습니다. 1967년에 조성되어 55년이 된 여수국가산단은 시설의 노후화와 에너지 다소비로 환경오염물질 대량 배출원이라는 눈총을 받아왔습니다. 우리 시는 이 여수국가산단을 저탄소 진흥형 소재 부품 산단으로 조성하는 스마트 그린 산단 사업을 추진하고 있습니다. 또한 여수산단 내 석탄 화력 발전을 단계적으로 폐기하여 석탄 발전을 제로화하고 친환경 연료 전환 및 제조 공장이 가능하도록 산업 구조를 전환하여 순환 경제를 유도해 나갈 계획입니다.
As I mentioned earlier, our city has an industrial complex. Established in 1967 and having been 55 years, this national industrial complex has gotten public scores as a source of massive emission of environmental pollutants due to the deterioration of facilities and mass energy consumption. Our city is now operating a project to make a smart green complex which converts it to low carbon emission and intelligent material parts of production area.
친환경 에너지 산업 전환을 위해 2017년 기준 에너지 산업 분야 3,587만 톤의 온실가스 배출량을 연료 전환 등을 통해 2050년에는 제로로 달성하겠습니다. 특히 현재 우리나라는 공공화력 발전소를 단계적으로 폐기하고 민간 열병합 발전소 또한 화학 연료에서 LPG로 전환 중입니다.
For the conversion to be eco-friendly energy and industry, we will achieve zero emission by 2050, which actually produces 35 million tons of greenhouse gases on energy industry as of 2017, with converting fuel to be eco-friendly ones. In particular, our country is closing public coal-fired power plants step by step and converting private cogeneration power plant resource from coal to LNG.
탄소 중립 사회로의 전환을 위해 도시 숲과 자투리 숲, 미세먼지 저감 숲을 확대 조성하고 해조류 같은 해양 탄소 흡수원 파종을 지속적으로 확대할 계획입니다. 또한 생활 속 실천을 위한 교육과 홍보, 지원을 강화하고 탄소 포인트 가입을 확대하는 등 생활 속 탄소 제로 인간 산악 실천 운동을 확산해 나가겠습니다.
Our city will continuously create and develop small-scale forest, urban forest, and forest for reducing fine dust. And will expand seeding the marine source like seaweeds that absorb carbon on the sea. Strengthening support for education and training for daily practice and expanding carbon point program. We will spread this cooperative practice movement for carbon zero in daily life.
우리가 말하는 탄소 중립은 어느 한 국가나 지방 정부의 노력만으로는 실현이 어려울 것입니다. 물론 쉽지는 않겠지만 우리가 앞서 발표한 과제들 뿐만 아니라 국가, 기업, 개인, 전 세계 모든 사람들이 그 필요성을 느끼고 의지를 가지고 적극적, 지속적 참여가 있어야만 탄소 중립을 실현할 수 있을 것입니다. 우리 시도 2050 탄소 중립 실현을 위해 최선을 다하겠습니다. 이상 발표를 마치겠습니다.
Carbon zero cannot be achieved by the efforts of a single country or local government. We know that it's not easy, but when we achieve all the open homeworks that we have presented above, when all the sectors in the government, companies, and each individual feel the need to do, have their willingness and participate actively, carbon zero could be realized eventually. Our city also will do our best for achieving carbon neutral by 2050. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seo. As Mr. Seo introduced, Yeosu is a beautiful coastal city with a variety of industrial sectors, from heavy industry to agriculture, marine industry. So that makes the many tasks to tackle for the city, and they also have lots of potential to be implementing the net zero policies. So hopefully the city will successfully implement their plans and doing well their own existing practices. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next presenter, we have next presenter, Vimala Dasa from Matalay, Sri Lanka, entitled NDC and SDG in 2030 in Sri Lanka, Low Carbon Green City. So, Mr. Vimala Dasa, if you are ready, please say okay to proceed.
Good evening, everybody. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests. I am both honored and privileged to present the Matalay Green City Development Program of the Matalay Municipal Council of Sri Lanka. Next slide, please. In keeping with the COP21 and the Sustainable Development Goals 11 towards COP26, aligned with the Government of Sri Lanka policy framework, vistas of prosperity and splendor, we have focused on a sustainable low carbon environmental policy. In Sri Lanka, we produce less than 0.1% of the greenhouse gas emissions, equivalent to 0.6 metric tons per capita. With our nationally determined commitments into a green social economy towards reducing 30% of the greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 and further targeting the net zero by 2050. So our 30% comprised 10% from waste, transport, industry and forest sectors, and 20% from the energy sector. So we are now away almost 9,000 kilometers from Sri Lanka to Glasgow. Next slide, please. So our ultimate goal of net zero is to achieve by 2045. In Sri Lanka, we have a total of 24 municipal councils in 341 local authorities. As you can see in the map, Colombo to Matalay is some 142 kilometers, and from the central capital, from Kandy to Matalay is some 26 kilometers. Situated in an elevation of 650 meters with a tiny land extent of 25 square kilometers. Our population in the municipality is little above 42,000 with dominant female population, 52%. and the density is quite low, 1,174 per square kilometer, and we have almost 9,000 households with little about 2,000 commercial establishments, and the annual budget of the Matalay Municipal Council is US dollars 2.5 million. Next slide, please. So when you look at the history and the current situation of the Matalay Municipal Council, it was established way back in 1932 as a village council and elevated to the municipal council status in 1963. We have altogether 21 municipal elected councillors. Mayor is the principal political administrator, while municipal commissioner is acting as the chief accounting officer. Next slide, please. So Matalay area is dominated with agriculture, that's rubber, we have tea, we have pepper, and quite popular for tourism and archaeology, ecology, and irrigation. Next slide, please. When we look at the geography and demography of the Matalay Municipal Council, it covers with 23 Gram and Iladari divisions, meaning the smallest administrative unit in the country, comprising on average 300 families. So we have 13 municipal wards, and we have 9 solid waste collection routes, and dominated with residential, that is 61%, 19% agriculture, and 20% other institutions. Next slide, please. The principal responsibilities of the Matalay Municipal Council include management of access roads, water and sanitation, wastewater treatment, electricity, markets, and more importantly, solid waste management. Next slide, please. So when we come to the solid waste management, we generate little above 50 metric tons per day, including hazardous waste with clinical, electrical, and electronic waste. Interestingly, 70 to 80% of our solid waste is biodegradable. Next one, please. So we are concentrating quite a lot into the urban agriculture and peri-urban agriculture with household composting facilities. And in addition to that, we produce large-scale compost fertilizers in the municipal council. Next slide. We promote quite a lot on 3R principles and the practices, and we encourage quite a lot of livelihood income generating activities. We have introduced resource collection centers where the inhabitants can come and hand over their non-biodegradable items for a price. So in addition to that, we have introduced the rapid composting facilities with public-private partnership. Next one, please. And at household level, we are promoting quite a lot on medium to small scale biogas. And as you all know that we have declared from 2021, we will be producing the organic agriculture products in Sri Lanka. Therefore, we have popularized quite a lot on organic fertilizers. In addition to that, we are promoting quite a lot on smart apps with public-private partnership. Next one. So these are our key concerns In this 25 square kilometer land block with little about 9,000 families, we consume almost 10,000 LPG gas cylinders per month. And every day about 30,000 vehicles are moving up and down, passing the main city center. So per day they consume about 16,000 cubic meters of water, and more alarmingly, we consume almost 1 million kilowatt hours of electricity per month. So these are the key concerns we have, and our 30% reduction is primarily targeting on these 4 key concerns. Next slide, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, our target for net zero is 2045, and we seek your kind support and cooperation to achieve this, our ultimate net zero target by 2045. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wimala Dasa. He shows the effort of Sri Lanka municipality, Matalay, in the organic waste decomposition effort, and there are issues in many parts in carbon emission. Thank you. So final presenter is myself, and I will give you a presentation shortly. So I give the presentation at the podium. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dongwoo Yang, a senior researcher at the International Climate and Environment Center. Today, I'm going to talk about the role of the cities in responding to climate change and the importance of the scientific knowledge, learning and use, and its implication to policies in a city level. Global warming is still going on. That means that climate change is bound to continue. The average temperature has risen from 0.7 degrees to close to 1 degree compared to the past 100 years. And this is the average temperature. Since this is the average temperature, including the entire polar region of the Earth, you may think just 1 degree change is minor. But in some areas, you may feel that the shift feels maximum of plus minus 10 degrees Celsius. The CO2 concentration is constantly increasing as measured by Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii. And the CO2 concentration has already exceeded 415 ppm, or representing the highest figure in the human history. Then considering how this will affect the future temperatures, it is predicted that the average temperature will rise to conservatively 5 degrees to maximum of 8 degrees by 2100. So are cities safe in this climate crisis? We can ask like this. And cities occupy only 2% of the earth. However, they are using 75% of energy, and as a result, 80% of the total greenhouse gases are emitted. The result of this is that I don't believe in religion, but God always forgives humans. And it is said that humans sometimes forgive, but it is said that nature never forgives. I think that climate change and global warming might be the form of nature that knows no forgiveness. So cities have to make all the efforts to respond to climate change. As I had mentioned earlier, cities are both the cause and the victims of climate change. So efforts by individual cities can usually be fragmented, but it's something you can do locally everywhere. And when those efforts come together, they can become global efforts. Efforts against climate change in the actual field are significant. Recognize the importance. Cities' participation is encouraged by the international community, including the decision of the 2015 Paris Agreement, UN SDG, and all of the UN Habitat's new urban agenda. When we compare the benefits and losses between responding to climate change, not doing so, we usually cite a lot from the Stern Review. So, what can cities do to combat climate change? Cities should also focus on the three goals: reducing sources, increasing sinks, and adaptation. We need to do many things to achieve these three goals, but we need to have a precise understanding of the emission, geography and frequency of the sink, and the amount of the emissions. These tasks are what cities can and should do well compared to state. So what I'm talking about is related to the climate resilience pathways highlighted by the IPCC. Many external stressors damage our planet, and it can revert to its damaged state. So we can keep our global environment more robust to external stimuli. In deciding what action to take between external stimuli and the ability to overcome them, our environment will change to either a low-risk climate or a high-risk environment in the future. So even if we raise the risk by making the wrong decision in the past, we can reduce the risk by making the right decision in the future. Conversely, even if we have made the right decision in the past, our risk may increase if we do wrong in the future. So therefore, it is vital to respond to the climate crisis that the right decision should be made as often as possible in a series of decision-making processes. So successful mitigation and adaptations are critical factor ensuring resilience and low risk. Unfortunately, climate change is accelerating despite many discussions around the mitigation and adaptation worldwide and policy implementation. This chart shows that we don't understand the problem and possibility precisely. Therefore, learning and using knowledge should be a prerequisite for effective mitigation and adaptation. To respond to climate change properly, learning and using knowledge must be implemented correctly. So, how can we achieve this? Observe the climate properly. Correct inference and predictions are possible based on correctly observed information. Accurate observation and forecasting require high spatial temporal resolution. We need to measure and frequently predict in small spatial units. Thus, a final spatial temporal scale enables us to understand the quality and the city have a critical role in this part. The following is the example of strengthening learning and using knowledge at the city level. The city I would like to introduce is Guangzhou, Korea. This city is kind of a basin surrounded by mountains, and the total area is about 500 square kilometers, and the population is about 1.5 million. It's a big city. And the other Korean cities, this city is also very much affected by climate change, including a heat wave, urban heat island, and fine dust concentration. The International Climate and Environment Center has developed and upgraded the user interface platform for urban microclimate and carbon emission management, only focused on the Guangzhou city. We have developed two user interface platforms to suit the characteristics of Guangzhou city to efficiently manage and analyze microclimate change and carbon emission management from the user's point of view. In addition, we have developed an urban assessment model system on the left for urban microclimate air quality management, and urban carbon management system on the right side, focused on the carbon management. So urban assessment model system, UAMS, is a system that monitors the wind road, urban heat waves, and air pollution distribution in Guangzhou in real time and predicts it for 48 hours in the future. Utilizing various meteorological models and spatial analysis technologies such as WRF, CFD, and GIS, we provide in-depth data on urban microclimate in different spatial range such as macro, meso, and micro scale. And the Urban Carbon Management System, UCMS, was established to provide information on Guangzhou City's carbon emission in units of buildings in 2015. Based on the existing IPCC guideline, the carbon emission classification system has limitation in identifying spatial locations of sources and sinks in neighborhood or fine grid units. Since about the 90% of Guangzhou Metropolitan City's annual carbon emissions are emitted from buildings and transportation, it was determined that an urban planning approach was necessary. So therefore, the classification system of carbon emission sources divided into buildings and transportation, and the use of building is subdivided to collect carbon emission related data and update them regularly. I want to introduce the use of case of use of UAMS in a short video. This video predicts direction and strength of the wind specific data time through a meteorological model and implement the expected value as a 3D animation. So this is the wind flow from the 120 meters above the ground in the middle of the day in summer. And you can see also in large view of the area of Guangzhou City Hall. And this is the predicted value at the local scale, not micro scale. So this is the wind flow in winter time, blowed from north to south. So the distribution of wind heat in the city change with factors such as the shape and layout of buildings, vegetation, and terrain. So we predict the wind flow and temperature distribution in a specific area at very fine resolution down to 1 meter. 1 meter in this case. It utilizes supercomputer, large capacity servers to perform computational fluid dynamics to compute the wind direction, speed, and pressure and heat distribution accurately. So UAMS and UCMS identify problems related to climate change in Guangzhou in a sophisticated spatial unit and forecast the future changes based on this. This will improve our understanding of the impact of urban forms on microclimate of cities. This scientific and technological knowledge helps to devise the implementation plan of adaptation and mitigation. It is possible to identify the effect of various urban planning methods that change the urban environment on urban environment and reflect them in the actual urban planning. In addition, it is expected that the introduction of early warning system that notifies environmental accidents such as heat waves and air pollution in advance through the 48-hour forecast will help them to adopt climate change appropriately. So this is my presentation, and thank you for your attention. So we already finished the presentation, all presentations. So now we have 10 minutes to the end. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And even in the online, people on online, please leave comments if you have questions. Anything else? Okay. I think we don't have a question from Flo. Oh, yes.
Thank you for giving this opportunity to me to ask the question. I have a question to the mayor of Bamenda, if you don't mind.
Oh, excuse me. Would you mind introducing yourself before question?
Okay, my name is Kim Hyun. I'm a member of the audience. I'm from Korea. I have a question about the presentation that the mayor of Bamenda gave. Thank you for your enlightening presentation about how climate change is driving the migration in the city of Bamenda. Sorry. I'd like to ask you a little more elaborate on how climate change is driving migration in Bamenda. Are people moving into the city or moving out of the city? And why is it especially the problem for the young children, young people? And you said that you expect a lot from international climate negotiations like COP26. And could you talk about a little bit more about what the COP26 can do for cities like Bamenda? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Kim. Mayor Bamenda. Let me see. I'm sorry, but there is a technical issues now. We lost Mayor Bamenda, maybe a disconnection of internet. So we will give him your question, and maybe he will answer you back later. I mean, we will communicate, help you communicate. Okay? I'm sorry. So, other questions from floor or online?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Yes, hello. My name.
Mr. Pablo
Gandara.
Gandara. Yes.
Yes. Hello. Greetings from Bangkok in Thailand. I've been following your seminar. Very, very interesting. I have to say, congratulations. And I think that it was very impressive. Also, the presentation by the representative from Yeosu City. And I had a question with regards to these expected results of net carbon or zero carbon by 2050, because he explained in his presentation that, for example, one of the main goals is to achieve energy efficiency and energy independence through renewable energy by 2050, and this taking into account a huge increase in the energy demand. So my question is on the path to there, to achieving this, if hydrogen technology plays an important role for Yeosu City and maybe for other cities in Korea, if hydrogen is taking an important place into the future technologies for ensuring energy supply at the same time of renewable. So green hydrogen. Thank you.
So, thank you,
Mayor?
Kandara. Yeah.
Mayor신가요? Is it Mayor
Uh,
Mr. Pablo?
Would you, Mr. Kandara, would you introduce yourself again?
Yes, I am coordinating a program of the European Union here in Asia. Actually, working with 9 countries, and we have worked very close with the ICC and with Guangzhou City, particularly. So best regards to all over there. And I was very impressed, as I mentioned, by these renewable energy targets. And so I think it's very important just to compare the situation to what is happening in Europe, but also in other Asian cities and countries. And the question is how to achieve basically this energy supply through renewable energy by 2050, taking into consideration that we will need we will have a higher demand for energy, and so in a way, which role the hydrogen energy is playing for Korean cities, generally speaking.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, this is Floyd from South Korea, Yeosu City. Can you hear me?
Mr. Kandara, so now Yeosu City is answering now. So can you hear them? No?
Not at all.
No?
Maybe I'm not sure what's the technical problem in here. Audio? Can you open your microphone? I mean. 아니 이게 안 들리니까 어차피. 들린다고 했었어.
So Mr. Kandara, can you hear us? Oh, okay. Yes, yeah, good. Yes, so, yeah, you go ahead.
So can you hear me well?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, the Yeosu actually has, as I told you before, Yeosu has Korea's largest petrochemical industrial complex in there, and within that, there's all the petrochemical complexes are trying to converting into hydrogen, and most of them actually are the big moguls, and most of them are very big enthusiastic to change their basic ground from the crude oil to hydrogen. Actually, as you know, just now, South Korea government is the kind of number one to lead the hydrogen industry, the hydrogen economy. And based on that, actually, our petrochemical industrial complex has been kind of degraded, and has been kind of reduced to spend more money to use the oil energies. So actually, all the kind of cogeneration plants and conventional power plants, all the kind of facilities to support to the industrial complexes are changing right now. So we are kind of working on it, but it's a kind of national level, not the local level. But anyway, just we actually try to just cooperate to each them, so that we can just make some kind of laws and acts for them to change with any kind of difficulties, without any kind of difficulties. And as we are just the city administrations, so we actually just try to just convert them into that with the mind that try to give some kind of subsidies and all the kind of tax refunds or tax kind of benefits. And actually, we actually believe that this type of just policies will just and can let them just change themselves to be a hydrogen basis. That's what we say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, any other comments or questions? Okay, so I think we're almost done now. Now we are at the last moment of the session. I found this gathering information and productive because we can see our member cities making our best effort to support the net zero. Thank you all for sharing valuable knowledge and information. Thank you all audience for being with us at the session. Okay. Okay, so before we close this session, let us take a group photo to remember this event. How about this? Okay, speakers and speakers of the session, please come out to the floor. Yeah, please.